Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Batman issue 93, which continues the journey to Joker War. Is this any good? I think it's fantastic. Let me tell you why. James Tiny in the fourth is really hitting it out of the park, isn't he, guys? I mean, come on, man. Issue 93. This thing is... We finally start to see how all of this has come into play and how Batman has sort of put it all together. And even though Batman does put it all together relatively well, the fact is that the Joker still has one up on Batman. This issue has Batman facing off finally against the designer, that crazy, ridiculously dressed supervillain, old school supervillain, who many years ago met with the Joker, had a secret meeting with the Joker, Catwoman, Riddler, etc., and found out the end game of all of Batman's rogues gallery, putting together a master plan that could take down Batman early in his career. And Batman explains to the designer exactly what he figures out here in this issue as he battles the designer. Meanwhile, Catwoman and Harley Quinn are facing off against the Underbroker and Punchline, of course, Punchline being the gorgeous little psychopath that's on display behind me. And the way this comes through in this issue, this is one of my favorite issues so far. James Tiny the Fourth does such a good job. Julian March, I really like his art here. Javier Fernandez, he combines both Javier Hernandez and Julian March are the artists here. I prefer Julian March's art to Javier Fernandez's, but it works fairly well. This issue explains how all of it was to come together. Essentially, with all the villains, all the assassins of Deathstroke, Cheshire, Merlin, Mr. Teeth, or whatever the hell his name is there. The way they were all supposed to attack Batman, and then while they were attacking Batman, Catwoman was going to clean out the Wayne bank accounts, and essentially destroy Batman early in his career, and just to really throw him off his game. Well, that of course it seems not to be working. It seems to me that when this issue starts off, things are looking relatively decent for Batman. He seems to have the designer on the ropes. He's got designer. He figures out the designer game plan right away. He explains it to him. The way all the pieces come into play, it's really cool. And you really get a sense that Batman's on top of his game here. Except, of course, that we know a couple of other things from some of the other issues that have come out earlier prior to this. Namely that the Joker hired Deathstroke, namely that the Joker is sort of the one orchestrating and pulling the strings behind the scenes. And this issue confirms what more than one person has suspected, and that is, of course, spoiler warning, here we go, the Joker is in fact the designer. Because we know that from early on, the Joker killed the designer, because the designer did underestimate the Joker, and the Batman, to his credit, has figured all that out. He's figured all that out, and not only has he figured all that out, Selina, Catwoman, along with Harley Quinn, they've approached the Underbroker, and Catwoman wants to complete the plan by essentially ripping off all the bank accounts of the Wayne fortune to hide it so the designer can't get a hold of it, or in this case, the Joker not to be able to get a hold of it. But the Joker is way ahead of the Batman and Selina, and in fact, Selina plays right into the Joker's hands and to Punchline's hands, and Joker ends up with $100 billion at the end of this issue with the Wayne fortune. So we end up with Batman essentially being defeated by the designer / the Joker, and having his leg, sliced through with a sword by Deathstroke. And he's wounded, so he can't get to Selina. We get Punchline, who slits the throat of Harley Quinn in a really epic battle, in a great sequence with great dialogue that is beautifully written by James Tiny IV. And not only does she seemingly kill Harley Quinn and have her hooligans dump Harley Quinn's body into the Gotham sewer, but then she appears to shoot Selina after Selina thinks she's successfully moved all of Bruce Wayne's bank accounts safely into her own accounts, when in fact the Underbroker has sort of got one up on Catwoman, and in fact, the underbroker, utilizing his skills, has managed to transfer all of the Wayne's assets into Joker's bank accounts. Now, if you're wondering how that's done, it's because, in fact, it's revealed here in a very interesting way, and I like the way James Tynion IV does this. He has Bruce Wayne being a typical multi-billionaire, or at least how we think of a multi-billionaire in our world, namely that the Wayne fortune consists of a bunch of shell companies that sort of hide and transfer money in various hidden offshore accounts that are very difficult to trace by the IRS. And the advantage that has for the Joker in his machinations here is the fact that Bruce Wayne, once he loses his fortune, he can't really go to the authorities and report himself as reporting that all his income has been ripped off, because for the very reason that because all of the tax havens and tax shelters that Bruce Wayne has in order to keep his money and hide his money, he also spends his money financing the Batman adventures that he's on all the time. And so if Bruce Wayne was to do that, he would reveal that he's in fact Batman, and the Joker, of course, knows this. And so Batman's in a very, very difficult place now. So this issue ends on probably one of the best cliffhangers that I've seen in a comic book in a long time. On the surface, it would appear that Harley Quinn is dead, Catwoman is dead, and Batman is broke and he's bleeding out of his femoral artery on his right leg, having a sword pushed through it from Deathstroke himself. Wow, this is exciting stuff. Now, I can nitpick this issue. And some of the art I thought was a little wonky. I prefer Gilliam March's art. Some of the transitions from scene to scene maybe could have been worked on. It was unclear at one point whether Catwoman was in fact shot. It looked as if Punchline shot her, but the way that scene progressed and the way it was illustrated leaves much to be desired, I think. I don't really know if she's been killed or not. I also found it a little bit odd that when Punchline sliced Harley Quinn's throat, and I found it odd that she never finished Harley Quinn off. She just had her hooligans dump Harley Quinn into the Gotham sewer. I don't think slicing Harley Quinn's throat is enough to kill Harley Quinn. Now, and the reason why I don't think it is because I've always held a position that Harley Quinn has a slightly advanced healing factor, mainly due to her affiliation with Poison Ivy. I do believe that Poison Ivy has, over the years, through her potions and through her botanical manipulations and in her connections of connecting botany to the biology of humans, that I do believe that Poison Ivy has created various toxins that have heightened Harley Quinn's ability to heal faster. And so I think that's going to be one of the reasons why Harley Quinn is going to survive getting her throat slit. I'm just putting that out there as a speculation, but I think that's a fairly easy thing to speculate about. I also got many stories I can relate to that suggest that is in fact the case, going back in the Harley Quinn lore, but that's a topic for another day. But in any event, I really enjoyed this issue. I had a lot of fun. I love the mystery that is building. You guys will enjoy this. This is a storyline that is taking some time to tell. It is being stretched out a little bit, but I'm enjoying the story, so I don't mind it being stretched out. Plus, I think it was extended a little bit. I suspect, maybe I'm wrong, but I suspect just because of the popularity of Punchline, I think maybe they added some extra storylines in there. I know they added an extra Punchline story in the one-shot that came out. I can't remember what it was, the Batman, or the Batman annual that recently came out. And in any event, it was the Joker. I think it was the Joker 80th anniversary. There's a Punchline story in there. But in any event, I'm enjoying this. Guys, tell me what you think of the Batman Joker Journey to Joker War so far, particularly Batman issue 93. Do you think Harley Quinn's dead? Do you think she's dead? Do you think Catwoman's dead? Wow. Harley Quinn being dead would be interesting, because there was that rumor that they were going to kill Deadshot over in Suicide Squad. Can you imagine if both Harley Quinn ends up dead and Deadshot ends up dead in a future issue of Suicide Squad, and that maybe there could be a big event with both Deadshot and Harley Quinn coming back? Do you think DC would do that? That would be pretty bold if they did. But anyways, guys, tell me what you think, and hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. And until next time, Comic Boom out.